Oh, got it. Oh, I'm live. Okay, I just sent it to you. Hello. How's it going, guys? We're just pulling up. I want to make sure that I can see your guys' comments. You got it? Oh, got it. Cool. All right. How's it going? Today, I'm going to be doing Karma and Pitchfork Kids. Hopefully this works. Last week I had weird technical issues with my computer, but hopefully this all works. Let me just look at the comments, make sure everybody can see everything and hear things. Let me play a bit of it.
I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly. I've been so good, why am I feeling empty? I've been so good this year. I've been so good, but it's still getting harder. I've been so good, where the hell is the karma? I've been so good this year. Why are you asking me why? My days and
Okay, let's start. Let's start with the intro here. I haven't really gone through this, so I'm gonna kind of be doing this with you guys. All right, let's see. Okay, here, you know what? I'm gonna start with a reference. I was kind of going for orchestra meets an indie song, and it's kind of a weird reference that you wouldn't normally think of, but it's on my favorite album of all time, which is Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, and I'll play you the part I'm talking about. Can I grab my phone? I wrote down the reference. Oh, yeah. So this Beach Boys song. You Still Believe in Me, and I'll say right here. So I was really inspired by how there's horns, there's French horns, there's orchestra, there's clarinets, there's all this orchestral instrumentation, but it's all packed into what sounds like a pop song. And so we wanted to do that with Karma. So I'll show you.
I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly. I've been so good.
The instrumentation, it starts out with a little bit of this old choir that I've talked about this in the past couple weeks, but we recorded with like actual traditional old microphones. Oh, am I frozen there? I'm back. Okay, cool. With like old microphones. So that's the old stuff. And it's also very cut up. And then on top of that, we recorded Alba, Jack's girlfriend. We got her, and then I pitched her up and kind of matched the old sound. And a lot of times when you combine that old stuff and that new stuff, you can hear a lot of the mids, which is all old. Like back in the 1950s, the reason all of it sounds kind of like this is because they played it all out of these, you know, like those old horn speakers. The only frequency spectrum that those old horn speakers could play was the mid. There was no high end, there was no like low bass. And so then you have a lot of people, like in the olden days, you hear a lot of like those old 50s songs where they sing like, they all sing using that part of their voice where it's all very mid, where it like sticks out. And so that is captured a lot in the old stuff. And then the high end is captured from Alba's voice because it's like very breathy, so it helps it stick out of the mix. Are we all good here? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And so then below that, I needed some kind of bass. So I had the high end from Alba, I had the mid from the old stuff, and then I needed to start with like some comforting, like warm bass. So I have this stuff. If you put on headphones, you'll hear it clearer. So to a lot of people, that probably sounds like a synth. It's not. I'm going to take off all the effects here, and you'll find that it's actually me. So I sang that and then put vocal synth on it, which kind of manipulates the signal, makes it low, makes it sound kind of like a synth. But it has so much glide to it, so much, I think, cooler than a normal synth.
So good, I've been so good this year. I've been so good, but it's still...
Then bring in some of this organ, and I put an effect on the organ to make it a little out of tune, like a little off-putting.
Been so good this year. Why are you asking me why? My days and nights.
All right, let me break down. This is kind of the meat of the song. So we were thinking probably a more traditional instrument to go jump, 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 jump is a guitar. You know, like an electric guitar. Like what would Green Day do? They would jump, 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 like a muted electric guitar. So we thought, what's a more AJR thing to do? And we ended up doing a cello that's played very, very staccato. Let me look for it. Not that. There it is. There it is. So there's the cello. Then there's that's kind of the more orchestral element. And then alongside that are a whole bunch of very weird sounds. I'll just go through them. There's this cheer that fades in and then sucks out. There's this congo, which is so over-processed that it starts to sound a little electronic. A little like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye. This stuff, just weird, like, little percussion flourishes. And then there's just this kick that's very consistent. There's a bunch of layers. There's the synth kick. There's a live kick that we got that Jack actually played. And then there's some like softer kicks under it to kind of put you in the room.
So filled with disappointment.
What's this, toddler? I don't know what that possibly could be. I guess that's me going, yeah! And then I pitched it up to sound like a toddler.
Oh no, everything's fine. I'm not sure why I booked today's appointment. I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly. I've been so good, why am I feeling empty? I've been so good this year.
Okay, so a little trick I like to do to kind of let your mind know, okay, here's the chorus, is I like to put a real bass in the verse, because a real bass can't quite capture the lowness of an 808. So I like to do a real bass in the verse, and you'll hear that with the this stuff. That's either Adam or Jack playing bass guitar. And then as soon as the chorus hits the I've been so good, then this huge 808 comes in. And it kind of tricks your brain without doing the more typical, like, without doing like a crash cymbal or whatever. It kind of tricks your brain into thinking, oh, here's the part that we're all supposed to sing together, because there's a lot of bass.
I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly. I've been so good, why am I feeling empty? I've been so good this year.
And under Jack's lead vocal, I have,
I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly.
and then I also have him pitched down.
I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly. I've been so good, why am I feeling empty? I've been so good, I've been so good this year.
Which is a trick I like to do. I recommend. You can always, of course, record a lot of backup vocals and stack them. But I think it works really well to pitch down vocals because it perfectly matches the ones he already did. So it just kind of adds more body to the ones he already did without you hearing many little imperfections and things out of time. Wait, I know there's stuff. Wait, I want to find this old... Oh, okay. This effect is pretty cool. That has like a bit crusher on it, and without that bit crusher, it's... Let me make that loud so everybody can hear that. So that's just another lesson of make crazy sounds into the mic, and if you put enough plugins and enough processing on it, and find the right corner of the music to put it in, it could really complement your music. And it could take an otherwise orchestral song and make your brain know, oh, okay, this was made in 2019 or 2018, whenever we made this. Here's this old orchestra that I was talking about, which there's a lot going on, bum, 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 but when hidden under the rest of the music. The idea behind that is let me play you an example of a song. There are so many kind of cliches in music where, for instance, like the riser, like in EDM. I'll show you. Like we all know what it sounds like, but like the beat is gonna drop. That. We're all like, oh, okay, the beat is going to drop. And so we try to subvert expectations a lot with AJR's music, and we try to think, like, how can we accomplish that same feeling of rising without using the most typical, like, EDM riser sound? And so we heard a song like this, which is, I'm guessing, from, like, the 30s or 40s.
Saw you look quite so fabulous.
Called Easter Parade, Happy Easter.
I could ride
Hold on, I'm finding this spot.
of the guy parade.
Okay, listen to the backup vocals here.
On the avenue, Fifth Avenue.
So we heard stuff like that, and we grew up on music like this, and that has such a rising feeling to it. And so those are ways that you can kind of, like I said, subvert expectations and not use the most cliche, EDM riser you find, but instead kind of find something that's a little older and still gives you that same feeling of elevation.
I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly. I've been so good.
Okay, then moving on to, this part.
I've been so good this year.
So that's like exactly what I was talking about. That ooh, I didn't put in. And that's how you know this is the drop, whatever drop means for AJR. So for the drop, we have all this cut up stuff. So we have these bells, triangles and bells, kind of stuff you wouldn't even notice, but it's just like tickling your ears. We have bigger stomps. We have a military snare going. We have, what is this, Choco Taco? Just a weird effect. I'm looking for these like cut up strings. Here. And that is a combination of stuff we got in the studio and stuff we got real live violin and cello, and then reversed it and cut it up. You'll hear, like, a real violinist or cellist couldn't possibly get that sound. They played jump, 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 and then I reversed it, so it was hoot, 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 and then cut it up. And then I love, this is probably my favorite, maybe the end is my favorite part of the whole song, but this may be my second favorite part of the whole song. So for that, we were kind of, this song, it's not quite a Turning Out Part 2. It's not quite a Dear Winter. It's not quite like a I'm crying to this song. It's more like, Adam says this in the show, but it's more like a happy panic attack. It's more like I'm feeling emotion, and then I'm suddenly feeling manic, and then I'm suddenly feeling depressing, and we wanted to get across that feeling in the song. And we love what David Bowie did. If you guys know this song, Space Oddity, where he has this very emotional part. Here, I'll play a little piece of it. He has this very emotional part, and then he breaks up the emotion with this almost silly, happy guitar clap part. So listen. Really emotional. And then it goes back into emotional. So it's stuff like that, I don't know, it spices up. It feels a little more like real life. I don't think we ever spend a day, I was sad today for the whole day. We spend days like, I was sad for like an hour, and then I watched this YouTube video and I laughed, and then I went back to being sad. I feel like that's more of like the human experience. So we wanted to accomplish that. So we have all of these very melancholy, legato, sad instruments. And then it breaks into this bell. And that's a cut up loop that I found on Splice. These chimes. Which I think I got from 330. I think I sampled myself. And then just this 4 on the floor. This kick. Oh, and then those vocal effects going.
Than the patience.
This session is so packed with stuff that it keeps stopping.
'Cause I've been so good, I've been working my ass off. I've been so good, still I'm lonely.
I'll keep going through little pieces. Okay, yeah, and then then it starts the small chorus, and then the build up starts.
This year.
So yeah, Jack's part I'll play. Oh, I guess that's me and I think my dad. And then on top of that, Jack's lead, a couple of Jack's backups. And the thing I love about this section is I bring in a snare. Not that. I'm looking for it. Oh, I even called it Best Snare. Because when I found it, I was so excited. Because it sounded to me like a trap snare, because it was high-pitched, but way, way cooler than a trap snare. It feels like, and I may have even cut it short, it feels like there was supposed to be a lot of decay on it. Like, and I cut it, so it just feels like not even finishing a thought.
Where the hell is the karma? I've been so good, I've been so good.
Someone just said, sounds like something you'd hear entering heaven. I like that. That may be kind of what we were going for, so I like that.
So good this year.
And I think another thing with this song is we wanted so many sections to it. We wanted it to feel a little like something on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, like All of the Lights, where they have all these different guest stars come in, and there's a saxophone solo and a guitar solo, and Elton John does a piano solo, and Rick Ross and Alicia Keys has a random verse. There's so many sections to that song. I think it's so cool. It feels like such an adventure of a song, and I think that's what has made that probably our favorite song from Neo Theater. That it's not a classic structure. It's verse. No, it's weird intro, verse, chorus, verse, small chorus, build up with really big and then a whole new thing, bum, dum, 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 which is sampled from 100 Bad Days, then a breakdown, and then this very long outro that I'll play. So for us, that is probably the weirdest structure we've ever made. It's not a typical pop structure, and that, funny enough, is what we look back and like the most out of it. So I think we're probably continuing to keep that in mind as we write the next album. So now we've entered just vocal, organ, and bass. I like that a lot. And then I bring in this guitar that has all these strange effects on it. That's me. Here, we could hear it without the effects. It's me basically noodling on the guitar. I'll make it loud. So I'm just basically playing notes. I even call it one note. I'm just playing notes on the guitar, and it's with enough processing and reverb and distortion, it's kind of spreading into this very ambient feeling. That's a good trick that we like to do. Whenever a song is feeling too clean, we very often like put this exact one note thing in. Yeah, you could probably go back and hear it in a ton of our songs. It just dirties it up. It just makes it feel like, I don't know, more alternative.
Can I lie here forever? You say that I'm better, why don't I feel better? The universe works in mysterious ways, but I'm starting.
Here, let me look at some of this stuff. Here, I'll just play Jack's vocal first. Hopefully, this session keeps like stopping. That's why it's just like stopping, but I'll just keep pressing play. I want to hear all of Jack's long ending.
To give me some diagnosis.
It stopped right away. You're not going to get to hear the whole thing. My computer's being weird. But it won't be weird in the next session. So yeah, okay, so there's Jack's very long vocal, just 808.
So please give me instructions, I promise.
Which makes him feel very alone. And then little by little, I wanted each instrument to come in. So, for instance, some violins. These are fake. These French horns, also fake. Some of that old choir I was talking about. Some piano. That organ. Oh yeah, that's it. And so it swells up until this ending.
This year.
And then Jack is alone once again. And we thought just that was a great way to illustrate a therapy session where you start and end very alone, because at some point the therapist is going to have to leave and then you're stuck with your own problems again. I'll take any questions about Karma, but there was also, I think there's an early demo of this where Jack sang it a key higher. I don't know how interesting this is, but we learned a good lesson with this one, that the key that you sing it in really matters with how much you feel it. Here, let me play just a little piece.
I've been so good, I've been helpful and friendly.
You'll hear that that's different than when we brought it down a key, which was...
I've been so good.
I've been so good. I've been so good.
I've been
It's a little
helpful
higher.
and friendly.
This was the original demo. And
Oh no, everything's fine.
we knew that the song was good, but Jack was the one that kind of had a feeling about it. He was like, I think the key is too high. It just feels too peppy and too happy. And as soon as we brought it down one half step, it suddenly felt like a more somber, like emotional song.
Was gonna sell, though I try to explain
This was the original.
It's been wasted, but after an hour it sounds like complaining. Wait, don't go away, can I lie here forever? You say that I'm better, why don't I feel better? The universe works in mysterious ways, but I'm starting to think it ain't working for me. Doctor, should I be good? Should I be good this year?
Yeah, so you'll hear it. I don't know if you guys get this feeling, but we got the feeling like it was slightly too energetic, like slightly too manic. And we wanted like the right balance of manic and a little sad and a little existentially kind of depressing. Here, I'll answer some of your questions. How long did it take us to finish Karma? Karma was the first song that we wrote for Neo Theater. Like a full year. That one took a really long time. It was such a great feeling writing it for Neo Theater, because the first moment we wrote it, we were like, oh shit, this would never go on the Click. And that was a really exciting feeling for us. I remember sending it to my dad and him being like, this is like miles above the Click. And who knows, like everybody's entitled to their opinion. Maybe you think the Click is better than something like that. But for us, it felt like more mature. It felt like, oh, okay, this is so adventurous. This is like such a more three-dimensional song. That was weird. This is like such a three-dimensional song. Okay, so yeah, so we kind of sat with that demo, and then we ended up changing the key. And yeah, for like a year, we were like tweaking it until it got just right. Jack has talked about this a little bit, but Jack really spearheaded this song. He kind of came up with this idea of, I've been so good. I've been kind of doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why are things not working out for me? And it's a very I think it's something that's very personal to him, and I think it's something he talked about a lot to his therapist, which is why he wanted to frame it in a therapist's office and kind of make it a little bit of a movie of starting with, I've been so good, and having the camera zoom out and reveal, oh, okay, oh, he's in a therapist's office. Oh, tell me more about this story. And he called me and said, I think maybe it should be in a therapist's office. I was like, my mind was kind of blown. It was like, of course. Also, let's make a song from a point of view of a baby. I was like, why don't we just continue to develop AJR style and write from different point of views and do this in a cool way? So that kind of really blew my mind, and I'm glad it came across to people. And I'm also glad we didn't spell it out. I think that you could do this song in a very lame way. And that's why I'm in a therapist's office. You know, I think that there's a very lame way to do that and spoon feed it to the audience. But I'm really proud of how we just gave little hints and kind of told a more unique, more mature story. Everybody's asking what color Karma is for me. I think like gray and purple, like silver and purple. Have you considered making a music video for Karma? I think we often make music videos for the singles because we want those to be seen a lot and have visuals. I don't know. I think AJR hasn't been the most music video focused band. I'm a big fan of people having their own imagination of what the song is. Like a lot of my favorite songs, growing up, as soon as I see the music video, it's like, oh, that's all that the song could be. It's the story about this thing. And I think a lot of times it's a beautiful thing to have your own music video going in your head while you're listening to Karma. So I think our songs are definitely very visual, and I think we're a fan of listen to the songs, come to the show, kind of feel it more than see, oh, this is exactly what the song is about. We made a music video telling you that. So that's not to say, of course, we'll continue to make a lot of music videos, but I think certain songs deserve not to have music videos. That's kind of our feeling. Did you name Beats because of Dwight's Beats from The Office? Of course not. We no, we wrote it about Beats by Dre. We did not write about Dwight Schrute's beats. This is more general. What is your songwriting process? Like lyrics, instrumentals, vocals? It really depends on the song. With this one, like I said, it started with the lyrics, definitely. And we were on tour, and we had this chorus, and we just went very chronologically. Usually we start with producing the chorus, like producing the high point of the song, and then the verse is going to end up being a stripped back version of that. But with this, we just literally started with the intro, then we did the verse, and then we said, oh, what could we do with the chorus? Oh, what could we do next? What could we do next? And I think that's probably why the song turned out the way it did. Such an adventure of a song. Because we were kind of just walking. It's almost like we were walking with like a map. And we didn't really look up. We were just like, okay, I think we're supposed to go left here. Okay, I think now we turn a right at this cave. And we didn't really like look around until we were at the finish line and saw what we made. So it was extremely fun to write. What's your favorite song you've made for AJR? Honestly, we just worked on one that hopefully we put out soon that I'm extremely excited about. It was a weird one because you you guys don't know it, but maybe it'll make sense in the future. We made it at first, and we knew that the song was really cool, but it was a little too peppy, a little too happy, and then we just like last week reproduced it. And me and Jack were like, oh shit, this is what the song was meant to be. Now it feels like an AJR song. And since then, I've kind of been listening to it nonstop. It may be the next one we put out. We'll see. Pitchfork Kids. We're going to get to Pitchfork Kids. That'll go next. It's a little off topic here, but do you ever go back and compare your old music to your new ones? There's more. Personally, I found you through I'm Ready, and it's so incredibly different than the newer stuff. Yeah, I think we do. I think that we constantly compare ourselves to previous versions of ourselves. Whenever we're making an album, we often think like, what can we do that we didn't do on the last album, and how can we make it better? Is such a not accurate word because I want to look back and say I'm proud of all of my albums, but how can I make it more true to who I am right now? Because the constant change, what's the phrase? The only constant is change, right? So we're all constantly changing, and I think me at age 26 is incredibly different from me at age 24 when I did Neo Theater. I'm just in an incredibly different mind space in terms of my confidence, in terms of my how I view life, how I view the next generation coming up, how much older I feel right now than when I was 24. So I think we constantly look back and say, would we not have done this on the last album? Good. Okay, let's keep moving forward, because I think it's not really an artist's job to give people what they think they want. I think it's an artist's job to continue to advance and continue to grow. And one album may be like, oh, that wasn't my favorite. They went a little too weird. And one album might be more of your thing. But I think an artist really dies when they stop growing and when they stop stretching themselves and they start like resting on, oh, I did this in the past. I did this 2 albums ago, so let's just repeat it. At that point, we probably like won't be a band anymore if we start doing that. Did we attempt the last vocal of Jack, this very long vocal at the end? This thing.
To give me some diagnosis.
No, we did not. We kind of we knew that would be impossible, but we wanted this feeling of the breath in the beginning. We wanted it to be like, here's my story, and it to kind of be nonstop, and so the end kind of culminates with this very long sentence. No, that is many vocal takes all stitched together, and we worked really hard to hide all the little cuts in between. But once Jack, I think on an Instagram Live, once Jack actually did the whole thing in one breath, and it sounded horrible, but he actually did it in one breath. So kudos to him. I can move on. I'll move on to Pitchfork Kids. And then at the end, I'll take like more questions. I really like doing this every week, so you don't have to feel like, I need to get to my question right now. I'll probably answer it next week. I'm opening up Pitchfork Kids. So, I've referenced Kanye West a lot today. Here, let me play this first, and then I'll tell you the reference I'm talking about. That's not where it starts. There we go. Okay, cool. God, I have not looked at this session in so long. I'm really going to be discovering this with you guys. So it starts with this opera, and that was a sample from Contact. And then I cut it up. I retuned and cut up that stuff. And I was super inspired, speaking of Kanye West, by this opera meets hip-hop thing. I think that those genres are much closer than anybody gives it credit for, because opera can be so badass sounding. It can be in such a minor key, and the vocals can be so grating. And I think opera is actually extremely similar to something like punk or something like hip-hop. And Kanye did this so well.
Yeah. We at war.
What's cool about it is you could tell it's sampled. It's not just, here's an opera song, I put a beat over it. It has this great mix of being sampled, looking backwards at in the past at opera, as opposed to like being at the same at the same historical moment as opera.
Racism, but most of all, we at war with ourselves. God show me the way because the devil's trying to break me down.
So we weren't like directly inspired by Jesus Walks, but I think that it's a good face of like, oh, hip hop can be similar to opera. And these are pots and pans at the same time. You know, it's funny looking back. So I made this in like 2015 or whatever. I would never use a hi-hat like this anymore. Because it's so the same one every time. I may use this as a chance to also tell people like, oh, here's what to avoid with production. You hear it's like the same. Everything I do now is making every hi-hat just a little bit different. I think I like a lot more human element to it now. But back then I was kind of just like dragging a little bit, dragging loops in and copying and pasting. Here's a yelling sound. Let's dissect these drums a little bit. Ooh, this great stomp. These very distorted snares. I imagine I have a trap snare somewhere in here, because I would be surprised if I just did... Oh, okay, right here, yeah. Right. Trap snare. A 2015 trap snare. So that's like kind of the snare that pokes out of everything else. Without it, the snare just sounds kind of like a mess of people clapping, and then as soon as you add it, now there's a focus to it. There's a bell. And then there's this 808. Me rocking out on the guitar. Let's hear Jack's young pre-puberty voice.
I didn't know her, couldn't hold her bones to settle in. She's got a habit, gotta have it all with her hipster friends. Oh, she's the...
I don't know what that was. I'm singing somewhere in here. This is when we we all used to sing.
She's the...
Oh, that's Adam.
She's the rough and the rowdiest kid. And there's more where she lives. Why should I spend time?
Okay, so we were very ahead of the curve on this. You know how everybody uses this this harmony engine sound now? Here, I'll just play an example.
I could be a minute.
This.
Just take your time. The clock is ticking.
And basically, they hooked up the keyboard to create artificial harmonies. I gotta pat myself on the back a little here. I was doing this like 4 years before anybody else with this. Where and basically this was before you could really hook it up to the keyboard. So I automated, you can see it's all cut up here. I automated each chord separately. Different chord. So I'm pretty proud of myself there. I was actually really ahead of the curve there.
Running for my life. And when the skies open, we'll still be singing this.
So I think we'd like to go back and say Pitchfork Kids is probably our favorite song from Living Room. I think it was the one that really stuck out. Lyrically, writing a song about Pitchfork.com was a kind of a big deal for us. We wrote it about how we were coming to grips with, okay, AJR is a certain kind of band for a certain kind of people. Wait, that's a good thing. We have people that care about us. Like, we don't need to be the coolest band. And we kind of thought about it as people. Like, okay, we're not the coolest people either. Who cares? And musically, it was definitely the darkest thing we had written at the time.
And when the skies open, we'll still be singing this.
I want to do a little precaution because now I'm seeing like what I was doing back then in terms of mixing. For anybody that is like a producer or mixer, I got into this habit back then in 2015 of you could see like all of my tracks, or a lot of them are very quiet. They're actually extremely quiet. I'm guessing, yeah. And then they all run into this master bus, which is the general, like what you're hearing, the general output 1 and 2. And yeah, I don't know if this pops up for you, but I'm seeing everything's coming in extremely quiet to the master bus, and then I boost it like 25 dB. I boosted an insane amount on the master. So it's not allowing the compressor to pump. It's not allowing you to like really feel the music. So now I'm looking back, I would never do this now, but a word of precaution, it's kind of easy to get into that habit of making everything kind of quiet and then feeding it all in, and at the end putting a lot of effects on so it sounds really great. Don't do that because it doesn't really allow your mix to hit really hard, and I've learned that since.
And when the skies open, we'll still be singing this. I know they're coming for me. We're not the Pitchfork Kids. Oh, it's the loneliest life that we live. Oh, we're not running with the Pitchfork Kids.
That's me.
The moon is upon us, gaining on us. She's crossed there to stay.
You know what we really liked for this song? If you know this song, Diplomat's Son by Vampire Weekend, here, I'll play a little piece. It has this great, it's not really like reggaeton. Here, listen. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Spanish influenced. And then later. that something like that was a big inspiration for the beat of this.
There to stay. We had to part, couldn't break a heart, 'cause their blood pumps through her veins. Rough and the rowdiest kid.
You know what's funny? So in our song "Break My Face," we've gotten so many people saying, "Did you sample a dentist drill or something?" There's this very high pitched sound in there, and the answer about "Break My Face" is no, we didn't. It's this like kind of theremin-y synth that sounds kind of like sci-fi, and now I'm remembering because we did the exact same thing in Pitchfork Kids. And it just helps to add some grit to it and some movement because it's gliding all the time. And then we did the exact same thing in Break My Face, and we got a million comments about it. But I still stand by it. I'm proud of that sound.
Should I spend time running for my life? And when the sky's open, we'll still be singing this. I know they're coming for me. We're not the Pitchfork Kids. Oh, it's the loneliest life that we live. Oh, we're not running with the Pitchfork Kids. Oh.
Let me hear what all this sound is. So yeah, there's this shaker with a lot of reverb. I think I'm imagining I wanted to create just kind of a ambiance there. A church bell backwards. That's pretty cool. More pots and pans. I completely forgot about this part. It's like the most badass part. So a church bell solo. We're bringing these out on stage for the next tour. Man, the church bell kid. Yeah, interesting. I was looking for like things that were different, but I guess I used to just kind of copy and paste choruses over. That's a big thing that we like to do now. We like to give people a reason to listen to the end of the song. And so we like to kind of add little tidbits. I think like a lot of people we talk to in the industry talk about nobody buys albums anymore. Nobody streams albums anymore. People skip songs after 30 seconds. And we think a lot about this, and we think that's just because the right songs aren't being made. You look at something like Hamilton that has 1 billion streams, and they listen to the entire album and every song all the way through, and that's because there's a story there. I don't know. I know that there are certain songs that I don't need to listen to the whole thing through, and so I think we try to either lyrically or musically attach some kind of ending to every new song we do, where it's like, oh no, we can't skip it yet. You got to hear the best part is at the end, because I think it makes it for a good song. I'm not trying to trick people. I think it makes for a good song. Like, why not make every part of the song great? Why only do half the work and then copy and paste it over? So I think we think about that a lot. I'm getting so many comments say trans rights. I'm not sure what this is about, but trans rights, obviously. I said it. Oh, Pitchfork Kids, what color is it? 100% red and black. That we knew that going into the song. That same colors as Bang, actually. Which those are probably the two darkest songs we've ever made. So there's probably some connection there. We knew going into Pitchfork Kids we wanted it to be red and black colored, and so the opera and the drums were very very focused towards that. Let me answer a few more questions, and then I'll sign off, y'all. Oh yeah, also let me know what songs you want next. I love doing these. Oh, someone's asking what's the AJR reverb on all the tracks. It's not AJR reverb. It's called Air Reverb. It actually comes with Pro Tools. Most of the plugins I use literally come with Pro Tools. I purchase a few for extra special stuff. On a lot of the next music coming up, there's a very cool effect that we achieved that I'm extremely proud of, and I needed to get a lot of plugins. It was like a series of plugins to be able to accomplish it. Hopefully you guys will see soon in the songs we put out soon, but we were able to accomplish this sound that I dreamt of this sound like 5 years ago, and I thought like, oh, I don't think technology is there yet. I'm not, or maybe I'm not there yet. Like mentally, I don't know exactly how to do this, but I figured it out, and I'm extremely proud of it, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. It actually feels kind of similar to when we figured out how to do the old 1940s choir. It was that same feeling of like, yes, okay, we're there now. Now we're ready to show people what we came up with. So I may be hyping it up too much, but I'm extremely excited to show you. Here, let me look at some questions. Break My Face, people want. Oh, this is an interesting question. What color do you see AJR in general? No color. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's like a cop-out answer, but I think we really want AJR to be the kind of band that can tackle any color. And I think a lot of bands I know that are like, I don't know, if you're more known for doing ballads, like maybe I wouldn't be able to see you do a song that's red and black. But I think it's very much in our minds. We want to be able to do a song like Pitchfork Kids or Bang that's red and black, or a song that's purple and silver like Karma, or a song that's more wooden colored like Dear Winter. We really pride ourselves on that, like being able to hear something when we take a trip to Jamaica and hear a street band playing something and say, oh, we can figure out a way to incorporate that into AJR's music. Not to just say, that's really cool, let them keep doing it. So yeah, we're really proud of that. I think we can kind of tackle any color. Let me answer one more or two more questions here. Oh, Don't Throw Out My Legos I'm seeing a lot of. Okay, yeah. So I'll do Don't Throw Out My Legos as the new one. Let me know what older ones you want. Oh, Netflix trip. That could be good. What are your guys' motives with these songs? I think I remember from a concert you went to, that you want songs people can relate to. I think so. I think, yeah. I think we want people. I remember being in 8th grade and discovering my own music for the first time, and I grew up like listening to Beach Boys and all the stuff that my family listened to. But I remember discovering like Eminem and Kanye West and like Lupe Fiasco and later like Kendrick Lamar. I remember discovering my own music for the first time and being like, they're feeling what I'm feeling, and that's what an incredible, beautiful thing that is. And I was not a cool kid at all. I was like quite the opposite of a cool kid in like middle school. And so to feel like I had, friends through music that went through the same thing that I went through was what a wonderful thing that is. And so if I can, and if we can be that for people, that really feels amazing. So the answer is, I don't think we try to relate to anybody. I think we just try to access the most truthful thing we can say. And it's been working so far, because it turns out when we say things that other people are maybe too uncomfortable to say, people can relate. So That's an amazing thing for us. Let me answer one more question. Not really seeing any other questions. That was a pretty good ending. Maybe I'll end it there. I'll end it there, leave it as a cliffhanger for next week. All right, thank you guys. I hope that you enjoyed Karma and Pitchfork Kids. And stay safe and keep washing your hands and trans rights. Goodbye, guys.